45 terrifying facts about North Korea. Fact 1. Closed borders. North Korea is one of the most closed-off countries in the world. People are not allowed to leave the country without permission, and any attempt to escape can be punishable by death. Fact 2. Labor camps. North Korea has labor camps where prisoners face brutal punishments and harsh working conditions. People can be sent there for political crimes, sometimes committed by their family members. Fact 3. Hereditary dictatorship. North Korea has been ruled by the same family for generations. Since its founding in 1948, power has been passed from Kim Il-sung to his son Kim Jong-il, and then to his grandson Kim Jong-un. Fact 4. Propaganda and information control. All information is tightly controlled by the government. The internet is not available to citizens, and the only TV programs and newspapers are government propaganda. Fact 5. Famine and food shortages. North Korea regularly experiences periods of famine. A particularly severe famine occurred in the 1990s, when millions of people died from starvation. Fact 6. 3 generations of punishment. North Korea uses the 3 generations punishment system, where not only the offender but also their family, up to the 3rd generation, including children and grandchildren, can be punished. Fact 7. Restrictions on freedom of movement. Citizens are not allowed to move freely around the country without permission. Even travel within the country requires special documents. Fact 8. Lack of human rights. Human rights violations in North Korea are common. Severe punishments, public executions, and torture are used against those who do not comply with the state. Fact 9. Birth control. The state controls not only reproduction, but also allows only certain people to have children. Some families, especially the poor or politically untrustworthy, may be forbidden from having children. Fact 10. Fake villages. Near the South Korean border, there are fake villages built solely to show off a supposedly high standard of living in North Korea. These villages are uninhabited and serve as propaganda. Fact 11. Enforced worship. The cult of personality around the Kim family is mandatory. Any disrespect shown to the ruling family is considered one of the most serious crimes. Fact 12. Military service. All men are required to serve in the military, and in some cases, women too. The term of service can be as long as 10 years. Fact 13. Economic isolation. Due to international sanctions and internal policies, North Korea faces constant economic isolation, leading to a shortage of goods and resources. Fact 14. Control through fear. North Korea uses a system of informing, encouraging citizens to report their neighbors or even family members for any suspicious activity. Fact 15. Technological backwardness. While the rest of the world advances, North Korea remains highly technologically backward. Most of the population has no access to basic modern amenities like electricity and running water. Fact 16. Denial of medical care. Healthcare in North Korea is extremely limited. Many hospitals lack basic medicine or equipment, and the population suffers from a lack of proper medical care. Fact 17. Extreme censorship. The North Korean government employs extreme censorship, punishing anyone caught with foreign media or literature. Even the possession of South Korean dramas or movies can lead to severe consequences. Fact 18. Public executions. Public executions are a common method of punishment in North Korea, often used as a means to instill fear in the population. These events are sometimes attended by large crowds who are forced to witness the punishments. Fact 19. The Yush ideology. North Korea follows a state ideology called Yush, which emphasizes self-reliance and the supremacy of the Kim family. Citizens are taught to worship their leaders as near deities, and deviation from this ideology is heavily punished. Fact 20. Food rations. The government strictly controls food distribution, leading to food rations that are often insufficient. Many citizens rely on black markets to obtain food, as the government rations are not enough to survive on. Fact 21. Starvation in the military. Even members of the military face starvation due to food shortages. Soldiers often go without adequate nutrition, and some have resorted to desperate measures to find food. Fact 22. Forced abortions. In some cases, women in labor camps are subjected to forced abortions. The regime views unwanted pregnancies as a liability, especially if the child may be born to a politically undesirable parent. Fact 23. No religious freedom. Practicing any religion is strictly forbidden in North Korea. The state promotes a personality cult around the Kim family, making any form of worship outside this acceptable. Fact 24. Children in labor camps. Children can also be sent to labor camps alongside their families. These children face harsh conditions and are often forced to work from a very young age. Fact 25. Brainwashing. The government employs brainwashing techniques in schools and workplaces to ensure total loyalty to the regime. People are subjected to constant propaganda, which distorts their perception of reality. Fact 26. Unofficial prisons. In addition to official labor camps, there are many unofficial prisons across North Korea where people can be detained without trial. Conditions in these facilities are often inhumane, with little to no access to food or medical care. Fact 27. Forced labor. Many citizens, including children, are subjected to forced labor in various industries. They work long hours under brutal conditions with minimal pay, often receiving harsh punishments for minor infractions. Fact 28. Cult of personality. The North Korean regime fosters a cult of personality around its leaders. Citizens are required to display loyalty and reverence through mandatory celebrations and public displays of admiration for the Kim family. Fact 29. Surveillance state. North Korea is a surveillance state, with citizens constantly monitored by the government. Neighbors are encouraged to report suspicious behavior, creating an environment of fear and mistrust. Fact 30. Information blackouts. North Koreans have very limited access to information from the outside world. The government controls all media, and any foreign news or literature is deemed a threat to national security. Fact 31. Execution of dissenters. Individuals suspected of dissent are often executed without due process. The regime uses public executions as a deterrent to discourage any form of rebellion or criticism. Fact 32. Extreme poverty. Many North Koreans live in extreme poverty, with inadequate access to basic necessities like food, clean water, and health care. The regime prioritizes military spending over the welfare of its citizens. Fact 33. Secretive leadership. The leadership of North Korea is extremely secretive, with little information available about their activities and health. This lack of transparency raises concerns about the stability of the regime. Fact 34. Restrictions on travel. Citizens are not allowed to travel freely within or outside the country. Strict regulations prevent them from visiting other regions, let alone leaving North Korea, leading to a lack of exposure to the outside world. Fact 35. Repression of intellectuals. Intellectuals and academics are often viewed with suspicion and face persecution. Many are sent to labor camps for expressing views contrary to the regime's ideology. Fact 36. Propaganda. The North Korean government employs extensive propaganda to control the narrative about its leadership and policies. Citizens are bombarded with state-sponsored messages glorifying the regime and vilifying foreign nations. Fact 37. Famine. North Korea has experienced multiple famines, leading to widespread malnutrition and starvation. The government's mismanagement of agriculture and food distribution exacerbates these crises. Fact 38. Public executions as a warning. Public executions are held as a means of instilling fear among the populace. These events are often attended by thousands to serve as a stark reminder of the consequences of disobedience. Fact 39. Re-education camps. North Korea operates re-education camps where perceived political dissidents are sent for indoctrination. These camps are notorious for their harsh conditions and psychological manipulation. Fact 40. Gender discrimination. Women in North Korea face severe discrimination, both socially and legally. They are often expected to fulfill traditional roles while facing systemic inequality in employment and education. Fact 41. Cultural restrictions. The North Korean regime enforces strict cultural guidelines, banning foreign films, music, and art. This cultural repression stifles creativity and expression among its citizens. Fact 42. Human trafficking. Human trafficking is a significant issue in North Korea, with many citizens sold into forced labor or sexual exploitation, both domestically and abroad. Fact 43. Lack of health care. The healthcare system in North Korea is severely underfunded and inefficient. Citizens often lack access to necessary medical treatments and medications, leading to preventable diseases and deaths. Fact 44. Control of education. The education system is heavily influenced by the regime, focusing on ideological training rather than critical thinking. Students are taught to idolize the Kim family and adhere strictly to party lines. Fact 45. Isolation from the world. North Koreans live in a highly isolated society with little understanding of the outside world. This isolation is maintained by strict border controls and a controlled flow of information.